November 29, 1944, in the waters south of Japan. A vast silhouette moves silently through the night. 70,000 tons of armored steel. The Shinano, the largest aircraft carrier ever constructed. Stretching 872 feet. She embodied Japan's belief in the unsinkable. Below her, the American submarine, USS Archerfish, silently maneuvers into attack position. Neither crew realizes that the moments ahead will alter naval history forever. This is the account of how the world's biggest carrier was destroyed before entering battle, and how quiet determination, patience, and precision triumphed over pride forged in steel. The Battle of Midway had already devastated Japan's carrier force, with 4 lost in a single day. To reclaim lost pride and power, Japan's naval command placed its hopes in a new symbol. This Shinano, originally intended as the third Yamato-class battleship, she was secretly transformed into a massive support carrier meant to transport aircraft, fuel, and repair supplies for other carriers. Her armor was thicker than any ever fitted to a carrier, and engineers boasted she could withstand a dozen torpedo strikes. To the Imperial Navy, she was more than a vessel. She was proof that Japanese design and might could still shift the balance. Yet built into her hull was a fatal assumption that sheer size and armor could secure victory. By late 1944, Japan was waging a war already beyond its reach. American bombers struck the homeland almost daily, and fuel shortages paralyzed the fleet. Still, the Shinano was regarded as a symbol destined for success. In the Yokosuka dry docks, welders labored endlessly under blackout conditions. The scent of fresh steel and paint lingered in the air as her launch date approached. She was far from complete, and everyone knew it. Hundreds of pipes remained unfinished, and many bulkheads were left without proper sealing. The watertight doors were so newly installed that many had never been tested for pressure. But the order from above was absolute. She must sail. American bombers had already photographed Yokosuka, and Tokyo feared the carrier would be destroyed before ever moving. So at 6:00 p.m. on November 28, 1944, Shinano eased out of the harbor under cover of darkness. Her destination, Kure Naval Base, where she would complete her fitting out and receive her air wing. Only a skeleton crew of trained sailors was aboard, roughly a third of her complement. The rest were recruits, yard workers, and mechanics still installing equipment as she steamed south. Even her escorts were uncoordinated. 3 destroyers, Isakoze, Homokoze, and Yukikoze, trailed behind her, unaware that American submarines had been operating just off the Japanese coast for months. In theory, Shinano could survive multiple torpedo hits. In practice, she could barely survive a high-speed turn. She was the largest moving target in the Pacific, and she had just left port into waters that no longer belonged to Japan. On the same night, the USS Archerfish patrolled the approaches south of Tokyo Bay. For Commander Joseph Enright, this was redemption. He had commanded before and once failed to attack a major target out of caution. Now, with war nearing its end, he wanted a clean, decisive engagement. Just after 1800 p.m., radar picked up a faint echo, distant, large, and moving fast. It wasn't behaving like a convoy. It was zigzagging at 20 knots. Enright took Archerfish to periscope depth. Through the low moonlight, a dark, massive outline emerged. Too large for a cruiser, too fast for a transport. He had never seen anything like it. He radioed the contact to headquarters, but received no guidance. So he made the call himself. Shadow the target all night. For 6 tense hours, the submarine matched course and speed. Every few minutes, Enright would raise the periscope for a brief glance, a silhouette sliding across the horizon. Destroyers weaving behind it. He plotted each turn by stopwatch, slowly tightening the attack angle. Inside the cramped control room, crewmen whispered updates. The heat, the diesel fumes, the tension, all unbearable. But Enright waited. Finally, around 300 a.m., Shinano made a turn that exposed her starboard side. Perfect. Stand by tubes 1 through 6, Enright ordered. The crew held their breath. Fire. 6 torpedoes left the tubes at 317. 45 seconds later, 4 violent detonations rolled through the water. The men of Archerfish could hear the explosions through the hull, deep, heavy, echoing, then silence. Enright turned away, diving deep to escape counterattack. No depth charges came, no pursuers followed. Only the dull thump of distant secondary explosions. The crew didn't know it yet. But they had just struck the largest warship ever sunk by a submarine. Aboard Shinano, confusion spread immediately. The 4 torpedoes hit below the armored belt, flooding 3 boiler rooms and several storage compartments. The ship shuddered violently. Lights flickered, pumps failed. Officers hurried to damage control stations. But most compartments still lacked phone lines or intercoms. Orders had to be carried by messenger. Captain Toshio Abe, an experienced officer, but new to Shinano, believed his ship could withstand the damage. He ordered full speed ahead to reach shallow water near the coast. But speed only worsened the flooding. The unsealed bulkheads allowed water to surge from one compartment to the next. Within 30 minutes, Shinano was listing 5 degrees to starboard. Damage control teams improvised with wooden plugs, mattresses, and even wrenches to tighten leaky fittings. The pumps were started manually and immediately failed again. By 500 a.m., the list had grown to N breeze. Still, officers reassured the crew that the carrier was safe. The destroyer circled nervously, unable to approach in the dark. When daylight broke, the situation was beyond recovery. Fuel, oil and ceta sloshed through the lower decks. Fire rooms were abandoned. The ship slowed to 10 knots, then 8. At 700 a.m., Shinano stopped dead in the water. Her list reached 15 degrees. Sailors crowded the flight deck, staring toward the horizon, waiting for orders to abandon ship. Captain Abe refused. He believed the ship's armor would save her. That to abandon now would be disgraceful. He ordered the destroyers to tow her towards the coast. The strain snapped the tow cables almost immediately. By 900 a.m., the list passed 20 breeze. Crewmen began jumping into the sea on their own. Others were trapped below decks as compartments flooded faster than anyone could escape. At 10:18 a.m., the carrier rolled past 30 breeze. Abe gave the order, all hands abandon ship. It was too late. At 10:57 a.m., Shinano heeled over completely. Her massive hull slipping beneath the surface stern first. The sea closed over her in seconds. Out of roughly 400 people aboard, only 180 were rescued. Captain Abe went down with his ship. For the Imperial Navy, the loss was catastrophic. The largest ship ever sunk by a submarine gone after only 17 hours at sea. In Tokyo, shock turned quickly to silence. The Navy's upper command suppressed all reports of the disaster. Even the surviving crew were ordered to secrecy under threat of imprisonment. To admit that Japan's mightiest carrier had been destroyed by a single submarine was unthinkable. The public would not learn of Shinano's existence until after the war ended. For Commander Enright and his crew, the kill was initially doubted. When they reported sinking a large carrier, analysts at Pearl Harbor thought it impossible. Only after the war did captured Japanese records confirm it. Archerfish had sunk Shinano. The Navy awarded Enright the Navy Cross, and Archerfish's crew a Presidential Unit Citation. It was the greatest single-ship kill in submarine history. Yet, beyond statistics, the sinking carried deeper meaning. It symbolized the end of an era when armor and size were considered strength. The Shinano proved that speed, training, and technology mattered more than sheer tonnage. In the new age of naval warfare, submarines, aircraft, and coderring, not battleships, ruled the sea. When Enright later looked back on the mission, he remarked, "She was the largest ship ever sunk by a submarine, and we didn't even learn her name until after the war. No photographs exist of theirs. Shinano at sea. No battle record, no air group, no victories, only a handful of corroding blueprints, and the memories of those who created and lost her. She was built to revive Japan's pride, but instead became a symbol of the peril of arrogance. Her tale is a quiet one. No great battle, no thunder of guns, only the steady unraveling of belief in invincibility. In the end, silence prevailed. One submarine, driven by patience and precision, erased 4 years of imperial ambition in a single night. And as the sea swallowed the Shinano, it also buried the era of the super ship.